Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I thought I'd take you along in the process of me making a fairy journal. I made one of these last year, and right here I do have a flip through of this journal. I'll try to link it below. If not, it is under my playlists of journal flip throughs. But I wanted to make one like this again. I had a lot of fun doing it. I had a lot of papers that are recycled to use up. So this isn't a tutorial per se because I have sped everything up. However, you guys can definitely follow along. The process is quite easy because there's no perfection, there's no measuring, I just want everything to be kind of thrown in. I like the pages to be coming out of the covers, and just an imperfect vibe is what I'm going for. Like a Fairy has loved it very well. And so right here, I'm just gathering papers, starting to make my signature. I'm only doing one signature with, I believe, 11 pages because I like to fill fairy journals with a lot of, I guess you could say, nature things. Pine cones, leaves, feathers, so it does bulk up quite a bit. So I like to leave a lot of space. I don't want it to be mostly papers. I want it to be like little treasures that the fairy has found and has made a scrapbook of. So I am using a couple pieces of tea dye paper. Most paper is from recycled packaging and paper bags. This is a bit of canvas that it was a scrap. I guess I was trying to do something and it didn't work out, but it'll work out for this journal. That's why you save everything. That cardboard piece in the front, that is from an old notepad. So I reused that, and I'm reusing this bag here. So yeah, if you can just if you wanted to make one like this at your house, just look around for old papers, look around for paper bags, tissue boxes, anything cardboard. You'd be amazed what you can find and utilize in this type of journal because it just works. It fits in with it. I like to keep it more on the brown tones, earthy tones, but this is just a video of me making the journal, and I do start decorating it a little bit, you'll see throughout. However, I decided not to do the full length video of start to finish because it would be hours long. So this will be part one of a series that I will be making of me creating this fairy journal, and you guys can create along if you like. So I decided I wanted more big pieces coming out, big pages. And I'm pretty happy with that one there. Once you get all your pages together and you're happy with your bundle, you can start working on the cover. Covers are probably where I spend the most time trying to figure out what I want and the layout and what materials I want to use, and I love it. Covers of journals, no matter what type of journal I'm making, is definitely my favorite part. So here I'm using some corrugated cardboard. I love that texture. It works really well for kind of ragged and grungy type journals. Sometimes I find, though, if you have too many materials around, it can get a little overwhelming. So I did limit it a little bit this time around, and I just have some mushroom papers, nature-y style papers, and some pieces from outside that you'll see soon. So it really is all about trial and error. What looks good to the eye, what doesn't. This material paper, I don't know where I got it, but it's fibrous, but it's also like a tissue paper, but a lot stronger. And I love it, and it makes for a great cover for this journal, so I'm happy I saved that years ago, finally putting it to use. A little tip to conserving expensive glue, like 3-in-1 or Fabri-Tac or whatever other ones out there in the craft world. They're usually pretty expensive if they work well. Not usually, but a lot of the times, depending on the material, if the material that I'm working with is a lightweight paper, I'll use the glue stick for the middle section of what I'm gluing down, and then I'll use the other glue, the more expensive glue, around the border so that it doesn't lift up on the ends. So it kind of creates like a boundary. Another little tip and trick I have for conserving your glue, which I'll show you soon, is instead of gluing full pieces down, depending on where they're going and their purpose, I tend to make most things pockets so that they can either be utilized as a pocket or not, but you're only using the 3 lines of glue instead of gluing down the whole thing. Now, this is dependent on the page itself and what you're trying to accomplish, but I find a lot of times it's really great to make a pocket as opposed to just gluing down a full piece of paper. So that's a little tip I have. I do realize as I'm explaining this tip that I am fully covering each paper with glue, but you'll see in another in the inside cover, I end up making more pockets than I do just gluing everything down. So this here is it's the shell of a milkweed, which I really love. And I was gluing it down and then realized it's a little too fragile, and 2, I don't know for sure if that's where I want it. And I still have to put the signature in. I'm going to do a lot of opening and closing, so I decided to hold off on that. Here I am now working on the inside. Another great thing with this type of journal is it doesn't have to be fully wrapped. It doesn't have to, have perfect corners or anything. It's just rugged. These types of journals are so fun, especially if you're a beginner. These types of journals are so much fun. And you don't have to sew. It's all glue. And what I do is, I do this a lot, is I go back and forth. So I work inside, outside, I work on the papers. I don't finish one piece first and then move on to the next. I kind of just dabble into each section. It kind of gives my mind a break from whatever it is, if I'm undecisive, to work on one section of the journal, take a break, work on another section, so on and so forth. So I did decide here to to cover the inside with that same paper, just mainly for the background. And I kept a bit of texture in it. Like as it's glued down, it wrinkles, and I love that. I love that effect, so I kept that. So what I was just showing you there was I ended up sewing just around the border of the whole thing, just to hold down that the green paper. That's very optional. This type of journal, you don't need to do any type of sewing, but I just wanted to kind of secure it down there, or secure it all around. And I love using I'm not a big inker. I don't ink all the time, and when I do, it's usually pretty minimal, except for fairy journals. Except for specifically I like to do earthy, foresty fairy journals, and that's when this comes in handy so well. So here is an example of me making that a pocket. It can be a functional pocket or just be as it is. I decided to put a little notch in there just to make it a little more obvious that it is a pocket. I forgot that I wanted to collage that underneath, so I had to just lift it up a bit. No problem, glue's still wet. So this little guy here, I decided to do, or came up with the idea of wrapping it around, and then in the front you'll see I make it into a little kind of tuck spot for whatever I want to put in it, really. For now, I put that long blade of dry grass in it, but I figured it's fun for it to be interchangeable, and I can put a flower in there in the spring and summer. I can put, a bundle of leaves in there in the fall. So I really liked that, how that ended up. You'll see more when I show you the front cover. This paper here, this is handmade mulberry paper that I got I bought it in a bundle. It's great for anything earthy or organic style. This is great material. I decided to put it in the front. I felt like it reminded me of a bit of, I don't know why, because it's not like it's stringy or anything, but it reminded me of a bird's nest. So with those birds sitting there, it felt fitting. Okay, so here's the front part, which I'm talking about. That part that I flapped over. It's got just a little bit of space for a stem, so I can put quite anything that has a stem in and out of there, seasonally or not. Same with this pocket here. I'm just trying out different things, but I do like how that bunny paper looks in there. And then I have these pieces of bark. I used these a few times in my previous journal, fairy journal that I've made, and I wanted to use it again, but I don't know just yet where to put it, so I left that to the side. And so I'm taking a break from the cover and I'm working on some pages now. So I'm just grunging it up. This recycled paper, it's just like packaging paper. I think it was just to fill in a box so it didn't move around. Type paper. So it's really thin and wrinkly, which is perfect, especially when you're inking it, because it kind of creates this leaf vein type of effect. It's pretty cool. Unfortunately, you can't really tell from the camera, but. And then I want to start incorporating some colors. So I have a folder of nature-y things nature-y scenes, flowers, plants, sky. So I'm just gathering a bunch of those. I was planning on using this for that second page, inner page there, but I felt like the colors they contrasted a little bit too much with the cover, the inside cover. So I didn't end up using that for that page, but I will end up using it. This is white gesso. I really like to use the gesso on these craft paper bag type papers because it creates more of a focal point if you wanted to write, or like I have here, put a bit of magazine. It just helps it to pop. And I feel like it creates kind of a dreamy look to it. So I do start decorating pages. However, at this point I realized how long the video would be if I continued decorating. So I just end up doing a few more pages, and I do sew in the signature. Actually, that's going to be fun when I show you sewing in the signature, because lesson learned, you cannot be lazy with it. Even though this is a easygoing journal, I'll show you how not doing it properly will backfire on you in just a minute. I believe these are different types of belladonna flowers. And as soon as I saw that kind of little column bit in that page, and I saw those squares, it just felt natural to put these in. And once again, I just do a little kind of tuck, make them into kind of mini tuck spots. I can picture myself putting like a little envelope in each of them, a little hidden envelope with some magical little fairy things, but that'll be later on in the series. So this page I loved I loved these trees here. So I was like, yeah, for sure, I'll put it in as my signature. So I'm hemming and hawing, trying to figure it out. And then I go to glue it and I was like, oh, I really like this one too. So I can't decide, and I realize I want to definitely put it in a way that I can see both sides because I like them equally. So just putting it aside for now until I figure that out. And I'm realizing that it's just messy trying to decorate these pages without them being bound. So I decided to do my signature to bind it in using a simple three hole pamphlet stitch. So just eyeballing it here. Then I'm just poking the holes with my awl. You can use anything sharp basically, especially because this is just cardboard and paper. You could even really use a paper clip and just kind of wiggle it around to make it a bit bigger, the hole a bit bigger. So this is where I got a little lazy. Well, I wouldn't say lazy. I figured, oh, I can do this just by holding it instead of clamping the pages down, because it's really hard to clamp down pages that are such different lengths. And so I figured, I can get away with it. It doesn't have to look perfect. But that piece there, the middle piece, it kept moving. So that was messing up the alignment of the holes. Not to mention, I was just trying to guesstimate on the inside where the awl was going to come through. And it was just a hot mess. It was a hot mess. So I decided, after struggling quite a bit, this was the breaking point where I was like, oh wait, this is supposed to be in the front. I decided to use the clamps, which made my life a lot easier, and I should have just done it in the first place. But you live and you learn. Can't always take shortcuts, right? I just ended up having to use a lot of clips, like layered clips, just to hold all the pages down. So I'm just aligning where I had punctured the holes. So I just kind of strategically clip the small pages to the small pages, the medium to the medium, and the large to the large, and it held enough to be able to work out. So now it's more of a solid piece. This is wax thread, and I decided to use the dark thread. And for this, if you don't already know, you do double the size of the journal. So you do the length and then the length again. And you can get a perfect size string. There's lots of videos. If you don't know how to do the 3 pamphlet stitch, you can watch how I'm doing it here, because it's pretty easy to follow. But there are lots of videos explaining in depth how to do this type of binding. So after I bind it and the signature is in, this is where I'm going to leave the first video of this series. So in my next video, I'll be decorating more in depth. So I'll be prepping a lot of the pages, kind of like I started now with the gesso and with the magazines. I'll be doing that. I'll be incorporating more of the nature things, and then we'll take it from there. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I would really love to hear from you if you guys start your own. And yeah, that's it for now. We'll see you next time. Have an awesome day.